Hey there, fellow founders. Are you looking to unlock the secrets behind rapid business growth? Join my vibrant meetup group where we dive into masterclasses on game-changing strategies every single month. We've tackled topics like building a lean marketing engine, crafting killer lead magnets, and leveraging gateway offers to sell high-ticket offers. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next one. Come share your experiences, learn from the best, and let's grow together. Sign up and be part of the next masterclass by going to events.sarahnoelblock.com. That's events.sarahnoelblock.com. Welcome to Tiny Marketing. This is Sarah Noel Block, and this is the podcast that helps B2B service businesses do more with less. Learn lean, actionable, organic marketing strategies you can implement today. No fluff, just powerful growth tactics that work. Ready to scale smarter? Hit that subscribe button and start growing your business with Tiny Marketing. This week, I am sharing a Merry Christmas episode. It is actually, so I didn't know this before, but Spotify for podcasts, which is now called Creator for Podcasts. Thank you, Melissa, for letting me know they changed their name. They make a podcaster Wrapped. So I learned that on Spotify, one, I made it into over 100 people's Spotify Wrapped list, which is freaking awesome. But two, the biggest episode on Spotify has been this one. It's Kendall Cherry sharing how stories can help you sell. So that's the episode I am sharing as a replay for Christmas week. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who come and hang out with me every single Sunday. And I love you. I appreciate you. And it blows my mind that you bring me into your world every week and listen to me chit chat about marketing and sales and biz dev and offers. I so appreciate you. And I hope you have an amazing 2026. Enjoy Kendall Cherry's episode on stories that sell for you. Today, I have Kendall Cherry talking about how you can create stories that sell for you. Today, we're talking about how to sell in every story that we tell. So we're on a little selling binge right now. Today, I want you to really dig in and understand how every piece of content should sell for you. You should be able to tie in your offer to whatever story you're telling. And another takeaway that I think that you're going to get from this is the importance of attraction and repelling. So a lot of us come from this state of mind where it's really difficult when someone doesn't like us. But when you own a business, when you're human in general, not everyone's going to like you. You're a person like the rest of us, and not everyone's going to vibe with you, and not everyone vibes with me for sure. Just look at my comments. But the thing is, intentionally attracting and repelling by using your transformational promises, your messaging, your stories, who you work with in the right way, you're going to pull in the right people and repel those red flags right from your content. And then last, I really want you to understand how a well-designed sales ecosystem eliminates the needs for sales calls. So by the end of this episode, you're going to understand how to sell without having to hop on a call beforehand. So I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, once you're done with this episode, it's a long one, by the way. Kendall and I really vibed. Tell me in the comments. Wherever you're listening or watching this, there are comments there. So let me know what you learned from this. All right. Enjoy.
Hey, so I am Kendall Cherry. I am the founder and executive ghostwriter here at the Candid Collective. And we're on a mission to create a world that's more candid and kind. So most of my clients and just people on the internet, they're always asking me what does a ghostwriter do? And I think the marketing world is changing a lot. The more, we see things transform with AI, but to me, ghostwriting is kind of this sweet spot of writing copy, writing content. But to me, in kind of the modern world, ghostwriting is really about sales skills and how to write content that closes B2B sales, especially if you're somewhere like LinkedIn. And so that is kind of my special sauce when it comes to the writing, where it's kind of this fun, it's subliminal. It's like, is she selling? Is she not? But you would never know
Yeah.
this. But I have this personal rule where I'm like, every post has to be selling, even if it doesn't sound like I'm selling.
Me too. It's so
I figured
rare.
you would love. Yes, I
Yes, but
figured.
it is so rare that I meet people who agree with that. Why would you write anything that doesn't at least like nod to your
Oh,
offer?
let's go. Let's go there. Let's go there. I think. Oh, I don't know. I have so many like hot takes on this, but I
Let's
think
hear
what
all of your hot
let's
takes.
hear all of them. I just hear, man, you're coming swinging right out the gate, the Kendall Cherry way. I just think that a lot of times people right now, especially in the like creator economy, is so like this sexy buzzword and building an audience and monetizing and all these things and monetizing content, which is great. But I think that when we're writing content, all of these courses that people buy from big name creators, they're always talking about the writing. Not once have I ever seen a course that's like, these are the sales skills that you need to have in your writing in order to close sales for content that converts. It's there, it doesn't exist. It's not
You're
there.
right. You're
It's
right.
and I see all these people that are like, yeah, I'm showing up, I'm writing. And I swear this is like a real example because I get like really fiery on LinkedIn because I know the implications if you're not selling, your business can't stay in business. And that's just the cold hard truth. And I just remember looking in December, I was scrolling and someone was like on LinkedIn, they posted a selfie with a car seat, with a bunch of Cheerios in their back seat. And they were like, this is what these Cheerios taught me about B2B sales. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And so it's there's so many things to unpack, but I think I don't know, it's like digital marketers a lot of times, we're so focused on the content, but like marketing is really and truly like it's a signal, but sales is the message. That's the wording that goes out. And I think so many people are afraid to sell, or there's much to unpack there, but that's my first hot take is, I don't know, are creator courses teaching you how to sell, or are they teaching you how to write? I don't know.
They're teaching you how to write. Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
as like my formal education is in writing and
Yep.
marketing.
Yep.
And I've only ever learned how to write. And it just came through being a marketer and actually, scratch that, because I was in marketing for like 10 or maybe 15 years before I started my business. And selling wasn't even really on my radar
Nope.
until I had to sell for my own business. And I was like, well, I really need to figure out how to do this. And that's
And
when I was like, I don't have time to separate these worlds. It needs to connect. And that is the only, out of necessity, is the only reason that I realized I should always be selling. Every piece of
yeah.
content should lead to an offer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that selling, that subliminal selling, because I like that you talked about that. I always talk about like subtle selling, nod to selling, soft
Yeah. Yeah.
selling. And it's really just like weaving in your offers into stories. Can you tell me how you do that and how other people can emulate it?
Yeah. So I have a few like story frameworks that I really like to lean on, which, spoiler alert, they're rooted in sales, not in writing. But there's a few stories that I think work really, really well. The biggest one that I see that there's a lot of like subconscious like discomfort, because I think a lot of times it's different. I get a lot of clients that I work with where they're like, I used to work, decades in tech sales or whatever else. They understand sales. They understand like to own a business that runs on sales, you have to sell. Like they get the basics. And
Yeah,
then there's this like weird thing that happens when you're like, but I have to sell myself and I have to like
it is
brag about
weird.
myself. And you're like, wait, no, 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 no. And it goes against everything, that we're taught. I will say I also write for probably 95% minority business owners. So women, people of color, LGBTQ, or some kind of intersectional. This is like one of the biggest behaviors I see is this like fear of visibility, fear of accepting money, wanting to do good. Authenticity and integrity are some of the biggest values that my customers tend to have. And so there's this big, like, I don't know, it's like this big moral battle, honestly, internally of like, well, if I make money, am I a bad person? And it's like, no, you can use money as a tool for many, many, many things. But I think the one story that people get wrong, and it's hitting right on the like, am I going to brag? I've got to be humble. It is, I call it a money making testimonial, but it's basically your client case study. This is the client and the transformation. This is the before and after. This is what happened. This is how I saw the problem and how I solved it. And ew, the part everyone hates. What are the results? It might look like revenue wins. It might look like time saved or, other areas of a UVP, but it's those stories that people want to see mirrored before they're going to invest in you, especially if you're selling anything remotely high ticket. So that one, it's like I see people on LinkedIn and they're like 5 stars, photo of the client, copy paste testimonial. And I'm like, you're making the customer do so much work trying to interpret the value versus you just telling them the transformation. So that's usually the one I see the most from. Anytime I see the 5 gold stars on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh God, like.
Hey there, amazing founders. Ready to take your business to the next level? Join our Gateway Offer Challenge and watch your sales soar. In this challenge, you'll get mini Gateway Offer trainings to perfect your offers. Learn how to structure your documentation so it sells for you. Create buzz around your offer and identify eager clients with our sales training. Plus, get exclusive outreach templates that take the guesswork out of prospecting. And because selling should be fun, we've gamified this challenge. Who can sell the most gateway offers? And let's not forget, you'll also learn how to effortlessly upsell to your signature offer. Ready to level up? Join the Gateway Offer Challenge today. Your business will thank you. Go to challenge.sarahnoelblock.com. That is CHALLENGE.SARAHNOELBLOCK.com.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So the topic that you had called out was the top 5 selling story frameworks.
Yeah.
And I have used this one that you're talking about, and you're right. And it's actually worked on me. I started using it because I was like, oh, damn.
It's bottom of the funnel sales, baby. It's bottom of the funnel. I can track, because I do it now like clockwork. I have a rule every 2 weeks. It's going on LinkedIn. Once a month, it's going to my email list. I can track when I send one of those, we've got inquiries coming through. Like it's almost like clockwork because it's the bottom of the funnel selling, but you have to kind of like face your own demons and your own fears of like, but I don't want to be too braggy. And I sometimes hear people too, they'll say like, I don't want to use my client's story or it has to be anonymous. Most of the clients I tell the story about, they're like, please tell this story. This is crazy. You made me like a ton of money. Like I want you to tell my story, or they win time back, or they win time with their kids. Like, I don't know. Those are the things most people are actually really excited that you got to partner with them. But there's this like weird, again, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a confidence thing or a visibility thing, but it's one of the most important parts of the storytelling that I think we need to be sharing.
Yeah. I get where they're coming from. I feel uncomfortable like calling out specific clients. I'll usually change their name when I'm telling the story.
Yeah.
So I don't want them feeling like I'm monetizing their experience. And maybe that's just like,
just ask their permission.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, can I write this story about you? That's the biggest thing I've learned is like anytime, because I used to have people like screenshotting like, holy shit, and they'd share stuff and be like, can I share this with like the context? And I think that's the big thing is we live in this like very, I'll say like highlight real world. We don't know if, is it all-time revenue? Is it like some numbers you inflated?
Yeah,
like,
there's no really know.
Yeah. And so it's this, again, it's kind of this fear of like, well, I want to be in integrity, so I'm not going to do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not the answer. So I always say like, ask for permission. If you really feel uncomfortable, like send it to your client to approve before it goes out and then add it to your library. To me, it's worth the investment to have it written, have it approved by someone if that's something that makes you uncomfortable. But the visibility is so much more important because it's not just about like how much money you could make, but if you do deeply transformational work, which we all do, like those are other clients that you could be helping
Yeah.
if you're comfortable with getting the story out there. The money is just like the extra on top.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to add, like, calling out their niche or like who they are in that post helps a lot too, because then other people that are
Totally.
within that niche or that role can be like, oh, that's me. That could be me.
Totally. Yeah. People, I think a lot of times your customers, like sometimes, especially with higher ticket stuff, sometimes they just need permission that it's okay for them to invest in you. Even if it's like number of years in business, whatever levels of nuance you can include, background, you know, this is why the before picture is so important, not just the after, but like really
Mhm.
painting a picture so it's universal enough. People really like if I'm going to invest a lot of money, like I want to know that I'm going to get the outcome that I want. And I also want to see it interpreted in more than just a sales page. I don't
Yeah.
want to just be like, okay, pain point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like I want to see the story, the richness, the nuance to understand like paint me a picture. What does this actually look like? Vision cast for me. Like, is this even something that I want? Or would there be another provider that could maybe, do something a little bit different that I'm looking for? But like you win all the way around, whether it's qualifying leads, disqualifying leads, attracting, repelling, it kind of serves every function in the marketing department.
Yeah. People underestimate the value of repelling because you're on a lot less sales
Ah,
calls that go nowhere.
oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't even like really get on sales calls very much anymore. It is pretty rare for me because my content and the ecosystem is kind of selling for me all the time. So whether it's on LinkedIn or the emails that we have, my services guide, I've got this really great ecosystem where I don't, first off, I don't have to get on sales calls. And pretty much any inquiry that's coming through, I'm like, yep, I can help them. I can help them. I typically don't even really reject people at this point. And if I do, it's someone where I'm like, okay, you're not quite where I need you to be. Go read this book. And then,
Yeah.
then we'll be ready. But it's the repelling thing. It's like, I don't want to use my energy like repelling people because I do want to help, but I just need you to be in a certain either like mental space or like level of business comfort. Your offer has to be at a certain place. Or if you're going to hire me to fix it, know that it's going to be an investment. But yeah, the repelling is such a huge. It's definitely one of the better revenue generating like areas if you can it kind of amp that up in your content as well.
Yeah. And I think that it probably flips people on their head. They're like, wait,
Oh yeah,
like describing who you don't want to work with, like pushing people away is helping
mhm,
you sell. And it really does. And you waste so much less time. I'm
totally.
curious though about your sales process because you have a service. And it's not always easy to sell a service without a sales call. So, do you have an application process?
No, not really. So I pretty much my inquiry form is my application. So it is at this point, I think for me a few years ago, I was kind of in this place where I was getting, qualified and disqualified leads. And I needed a way because I would just, I was sitting on the sales calls and I was like, well, we're having the same conversation. Like this is just not that I don't love my clients, but that's time that I could be writing for them. And so for me, the kind of sales process really looks like, lead gen from whatever source. So that could be usually LinkedIn. That's kind of the only place I'm doing any kind of marketing right now. So someone
Mhm.
gets it into my ether, whichever way. Most of the time, people end up on my email list. I have a email newsletter called Wallflower Fridays. I go more into the specifics of, how to tell stories that sell. But I do that newsletter on Fridays, and then on Mondays I send a sales email. That spoiler alert, it's from a content library. It's not. I'm not writing it fresh every week. It's a 6-month content library that runs back, and I have a service guide where I don't post my pricing anywhere online. So a lot of times people are kind of looking for what it is that I do. The content's already kind of, I'll say, customer acquisition wise, like people are if they're downloading the services guide, like they're probably 90% sold already on wanting to work with
Yeah.
me in particular. And so that's where they get, here's my process, here's the pricing, here's all the things, here's how the wait list works, here's the form if and when you're ready. And then the inquiry form is the application, but it's pretty in depth. Someone told me once last year, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, but that's how I know you're going to want to work with me. And he was like, this took me like an hour to put. But it kind of does weed out, like either someone's going to take the time to fill it out and I'm going to get a lot of great data and know exactly what they need and what the problems are. And I can diagnose it in, seconds after saying kind of what's going on. But it's also this really great way for someone to do their own self-reflection process to where when I send a proposal out, because I don't get on a phone call, I just pretty much say if they're aligned, which they mostly are, here's what I think you need. Here's a video proposal that takes the place of a sales call. Me just saying, like, this is what I think you need, don't need. This is what I would do if it were me. I usually ask for the budget like explicitly and work with them to see what makes the most sense. But it's not, I just hated like even the idea of sales calls where I'd be like, oh my gosh, if I have one at 2 p.m., like my whole day is like waiting around for the sales call.
Yeah.
And especially as a writer, like it's really hard to get into the like creative kind of
that mode.
You need to be in. Start and stop. It doesn't really work that way for me. I need like a full day of like airplane mode to really get into it. And so I just started seeing like, okay, what are some places and some stoppers? Like I'm having the same, questions usually on sales calls. Let me add a bunch of FAQs to my services guide. I want people to get onto the email list and get to know me a little bit more. I don't normally like to work with people that aren't at least little bit familiar of like who I am and what I do. I want someone that like respects what I'm doing, which is not just the storytelling and the sales, but it's my writing is usually a lot more nuanced. It's usually I've got, 3 kind of sub markets that I'm writing for all at once. And so I want someone that kind of also appreciates the craft a lot as well. I get people that are like, one of my clients was like, how come every single email you're writing is making me cry? And I'm like, I wrote it that way. I wrote it that way intentionally because that for the kind of people that she's wanting to work with, like that works really well as kind of a coach and a consultant. And so it's getting people that really respect what I'm doing and the storytelling and the sales, but like appreciating the craft as much as well as because I want to work with people that get what I'm really doing over here. And so more repelling and just creating more resonance wherever you can.
No, that makes sense. So your sales process is built to attract and repel throughout the entire thing. So you have to do less of the manual selling.
Yeah, I'm very anti-cold pitch. I do not do any of that. I'm very, very much like, organic lead gen. And I just trust, I've had clients who are like completely broke and like knew that they couldn't afford to pay me. And then what do you know? They have like a big splashy launch or like something finally kind of works. And then all of a sudden they've got budget to work with me. So online business changes so fast that I want to attract people, whether you get a huge windfall or whatever else, like, I just want to work with people that they know that I'm the right fit, whether they're ready to invest like right this second, or I think the longest person, I call it a long time lurker. So someone who's been in the audience, they're not really like liking anything because they, if you like or comment, they think they're going to get in this like shitty sales process. So they're they lurk, but they don't let me know that they're around until it's time. But my long time lurker was like, they were in my audience for 9 years. Which,
legit, that is long.
Legit long. Like, let's flash back to where I was 9 years ago. I was in college. I was an intern. Like, I did not
baby.
I was a little baby. I didn't even know. I was like a social media manager before it was like cool. And it was someone that they just followed my LinkedIn story. They'd seen like the good, bad, and the truly atrocious of really shit like selling. But when it came time for them to need what I was doing, she reached out. Like she'd seen it all. I mean, you pretty much, poor baby Kendall I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't go to school for anything sales related. Like I didn't learn until probably a couple years ago, really, how it works. So she she really saw me and the
And she loved
transformation.
you.
And she loved me. And then when she knew she needed a ghostwriter, she was like, I'm working with you. I'm paying in full. Like, let's do this thing. And I was like, I could have, I'm sorry. I could have never predicted something like that would happen. And that's the thing with sales is like, if you're open enough and like open for business enough, that's kind of what I always envision is like every morning I just hang on open for business side mentally. And I kind of just see what happens. And my funnest client stories, like the weird synchronicities, like they always happen when I'm more open and I'm out of the spreadsheet trying to like reverse
Yeah.
engineer everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I've seen that myself too. And the longer that they're lurking, the more excited they are to work with you
Oh my
because
God, it's the
like,
best.
yeah, they're secretly friends with you. It's like podcasts
Oh,
that you listen to where you're
it's
like, I
so
feel like I know
fun.
you.
Oh my God. Yeah, I have another longtime lurker. It's actually the girl. I think the best like little messaging quips, like I'm a good writer, but like I don't come up with them. Like this girl actually, she in her inquiry form had said like longtime lurker, first time caller. And I was like, I'm stealing that. That's really good. But we had a discovery call for this project she needed help with. And if you didn't know, my brand marker is a sunflower and you'll see them all over the place. My LinkedIn profile is me like
I saw it on your
jumping with freaking hair in the air and, flowers everywhere. That was a poem. But, so on our project kickoff call, she like wore her flowers and I was like, Allison, did you wear those for me? And she was like, yeah, I couldn't buy you flowers. So I figured I'd wear them. And I was
that's cute.
like so sweet.
It
Like
has
that's a
to make
real
you feel so
person.
mean.
Yeah. Well, and it's so genuine too. And I think that's the thing, like that can get lost a little bit in the online world, especially there's a very toxic side and like capitalistic side to kind of, making money on the internet. And I think people forget like there's all those little magical moments that like that can happen, but it's never, for me at least, it's never happened when I was like worrying about money, knee deep in my spreadsheet, stressed to the max. Like it usually happened when I was open, I was like enjoying myself, I was having fun. And then it's like the universe just drops in again,
Yeah.
girl, yeah, buy you a bouquet so she wears one for you. It's too good. It's too good.
I want to touch on that for a bit because your mental state has a huge impact on how you sell. At least that's my experience when
Well,
I'm relaxed. I'm like, it's all going to be fine. It
yeah.
is all
It always
fine.
works out. It always works.
Yes.
May not feel like it in the middle, like in the middle. I have been through the darkness, but
Same.
it always works out. And it's every time I'm always like, shit, that was better than like, even if I would have come up with that. Like I
Yeah.
do it all the time where I'm like, I'm a writer and like some of the shit that happened, like I couldn't even write this. Like it's better if I don't worry about it. Cause then I get some crazy synchronicity or something else. So
Yes. The
but
universe is like, here you go.
here's a really great fun story, but it's so hard in the moment because I mean, there's so many reasons, right? There's so much pressure. I know I feel like this on LinkedIn and I feel like I have a pretty solid like mindset and headspace when I'm like, should I be wanting to make more money? Should I have a $2 million business already? Like, why am I
Yeah.
behind? I'm not doing that. Like I know what I'm here to do. I know what I'm wanting to do and I'm really grounded in that, but it's really easy when a lot of people's marketing platforms can have a tendency to lean, shame-based, scarcity, lack mentality. It can definitely, I mean, even the strongest mental people, I think, can still fall, victim to that or feel influenced by it when a lot of the times too, some of the stuff they're posting isn't even true. But
Oh, a lot of it. It's like,
when did this spreadsheet or like when this screenshot actually get taken? Like, come on.
yes. Or they're only telling you a little piece of the story. So it
Yeah,
looks so good and shiny, but in reality, they're in dead up to their eyeballs.
totally. Totally.
So we talked about one storytelling framework.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about our client stories.
Mhm.
So let's get into the next one. How else can we sell through stories?
Yeah. So the next two, I'll say they kind of pair up together. This one is classic marketing. We love to talk about pain points and success factors. I think a lot of people feel really intimidated by talking about pain points. They don't I know for me, that was a hard thing at first where I was like, I'm not going to capitalize on someone's pain points, but like to provide a solution, you must share what the
Yeah, it's
problem
kind
is.
of important.
That's just duality. That's just all that is. And so the thing with pain points that I found is a lot easier, they kind of go together, is painting a picture of a day in the life. So you could do this. You don't necessarily need to like use a fake name or anything, but just take someone through like, if it's painful right now, like I bet you XYZ, like use examples. I find that the more specific that you are, the more premium the sales messaging goes. So there's something that I like to talk about. People use like, especially in AI world, like lowest common denominator messaging. It's the same thing. Like if it's the most obvious pain point, you and your, 50 other competitors have also thought of it. So
Yeah.
don't use like, so use more specific examples. And even if it feels like you're maybe siloing people out, this is more of a writing technique, but the more specific you are, the more universal the story becomes. So even if it feels like you're kind of pigeonholing something, I find that people can tune into the meaning of what you're saying and apply it to your own life versus, you use this big, I just picture like the ocean of, the most obvious example, like you should hire a writer so you don't have to write it. And it's like, okay, but there's like other ways you could say that. So I
Yeah.
find when like day in the life, you can do either, again, you can do it with pain points or success factors or solutions is a really great one. And it's just vision casting. And it's just taking someone through like, imagine what it would look like if, and really just diving into what that could be with your offer or your service or your product as the hero, really.
That really does work. And I've been sold that way too, because your body honestly feels like a little looser when you hear that imagined statement. Like,
Yeah.
you're right. I could imagine that. That is what my life looks like now. No, take me on that journey. Show me
Yeah.
how.
Like, oh, someone finally gets it. Like, I know I feel it.
Yes.
And so I'm like, doing my best out here. And again, the more specific you are, the more it tends to kind of lean into your actual experience. So even if it's not 100% the same, it's okay, well, this person works with someone that's kind of in my same, what I'm going through. So they're going to get it. And I think that that's so important for any kind of providing a service, is really making sure that the person you're going to invest in gets what you're about, or at least close to around what you're about, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And like a common pain point that lots of people are going through is they just don't have enough time. It's always like
Everyone,
around time.
yeah.
Yeah.
What does the time mean? Tell me what the time
Yes,
means. That's
exactly.
the thing I always think about is like, okay, time, yes, time is important, but also the time represents something. Like
Yes.
time is also money. Like that's another thing is time is money. And so I think that people just need that kind of example of what the time could be used for. What could the money from the time be used for? Like there's a lot of examples that you could go into with
Yeah.
almost.
Connect it. Like look at some of your clients and see what do they do with their spare time so you can connect the dots, because it's very likely, like if you like your clients and you want to clone them, that other people probably also want to do that with their spare time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something I think people don't do enough of either, is like they think about like, oh, I got to create original content. I'm like, no. You want to figure out a way to bottle up your best clients, your favorite people to work with. That's really the role of content, especially if you kind of like me, like I'm purely evergreen. Like I have a huge content library I've built over the years and that I lean on to help support the sales, but all of that, you're like, oh, post to support that kind of person I want, bottle it up,
Mhm.
repurpose it. So then you're not having to write content fresh all the time. It's the hardest part of your job is lead gen and connecting with new people and like letting the machine run. It's not, let me manually sell and generate all these leads and I have to write my content fresh every week. It's like something's got to give. Like
Connect all of them.
connect to all of them. I'm over here like I'm a writer and that's too much writing for me. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. Like it's just working smarter, not harder, I think.
Yeah, it really is. Your sales, your marketing can connect, and so can your lead gen. All of that can be connected
Mhm.
into one thing
Mhm.
that,
On the machine,
yeah.
I just picture me as like, I stand back cross-armed and I'm just watching the machine run and I'm like doing a little tweaks here and here, but I'm like, evergreen baby, long game. Like we're here, we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I completely get that. I always refer to my lean marketing engine because once you get that foundation, you get that machine running, it's just working for you. All you have to
Yeah.
do is like stick with your routine.
Yeah. Stay consistent. It doesn't have to be this hot, like, I know it feels hot and sexy to have the like, big highs, but then you also probably have the big lows. I'm not a big fan of that. My nervous system doesn't like it. So
Like
I'm,
launch style.
oh, hell no. Like, it's too risky. It's also just from a business perspective. It's too risky. I'm sorry. I don't want to have to close like 80% of my sales in one launch. And if it fails,
Mhm.
but no, like
Yeah.
I have a small team. This is like the money I use to pay myself. I just am not comfortable with that. So yeah,
No, me neither.
evergreen all day, every day.
I like to do tiny launches because I like the style of them,
Yeah.
but I'll do tiny launches like once a month. I'm going to
Yeah.
promote this thing.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for me, and it's probably the nature of what I offer as well, which is like retainer content for, 6-month contract, maybe a project. Like, I don't know. And I get so booked in advance anyway, or I'll get like a random inquiry where I'm like, well, that was, a larger scope where like I couldn't have predicted that. So I find launching has been hard just from a like scoping and capacity perspective where I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I always end up getting booked out a couple months in advance. I'm like,
Well, yeah, if you have 6-month long retainers, you
yeah,
probably don't have to do a ton of selling. You probably have
no,
way more
it's
inquiries than you actually need.
yes, yes. No, I ended up hiring a writer to help me this year. I'm also writing a book in the background that I'll launch later this year. So I've had to kind of do some, hiring support and that kind of thing. But yeah, it just with the longer contracts and kind of the one-off projects and everything, it doesn't need a bunch of fuel to make the sales engine run at this point. But I've been at it. I've tested a few things over the years too.
Yeah. Yeah. In my first like 3 years, I was only doing retainers and I barely had to sell. It was so easy.
Yeah, I think there's something about like retainers and also I'll say referral based businesses that
Mhm.
it sounds sexy, like, oh yeah, my business runs on referrals. And I'm like, I don't love that. I feel like, and this was just kind of my story. I felt like I kind of came into this business in like 2020, 2021. And so everyone was, all my peers were like, yeah, I'm booked out. I'm on referrals. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me, but that just wasn't the case for me. So I was having to learn really how to sell. And
Yeah.
I just don't love referral based businesses because you don't have any control over your client roster.
Yes.
Like, and the other thing is like, okay, let's say Sarah's my client. Well, Sarah told Veronica that I'm X amount per month. So now Veronica thinks that that's
Yes.
the amount they're going to get. And I'm like, no, I want to raise my prices. Like, I want you to raise
Yeah.
my prices. I want you to work less hours. Like, so you end up getting trapped. And that was the thing I started seeing with my revenue is where I was like, I'm hitting this ceiling and it's partially because of these referrals that are coming through. Or if a referral client, drops off, or I'm waiting on the referral gods to like send me another referral and I haven't learned how to sell, like I'm screwed. I have no sales lever. And so I didn't love that. And so I've kind of I try to caution some of my clients come to me and they're like, I was a referral based business and then things stopped working. And I'm like, yeah, that's like the nature of what ends up happening. Like you have to get the sales part turned on, basically.
Yes. Every single member of the Tiny Marketing Club, that, that, that
Yeah,
they
it's
were
I'm like,
running on referrals and it stopped.
yeah, this is how it goes. And a lot of times, and classic. I'm curious if this is what happens, but a lot of people when they have referrals, they're like, oh, I'm fine. I don't need to do any of my sales and marketing stuff.
Mhm.
Disappear from LinkedIn, disappear from Instagram, and then I can tell you the moment someone's client rolls off because I'm like, oh, look at that. All of a sudden they're just like back from the dead. And I'm like, for me as somebody that's going to invest in any kind of high ticket service. I'm like, I want to know that that person is consistent and that they know what they're doing. And so it's actually like a huge red flag to not be consistent and to kind of go through these like feast and famine in your energy and consistency and showing up in sales and marketing. Spoiler alert, mirrors the feast and famine in your revenue. That's I like tie a bow on that one. That's just how it works. And so that's why I kind of didn't want to have any of that, I don't know, behavior in the business anymore, because it was hurting the sales too much. It was feeling out of my own control, which I don't like that feeling.
Yeah, I think we might be the same person. I
just like, I was like, tell me if this sounds like you.
It sounds like me, I'll tell you that much. It's uncomfortable relying on other people. And I'm the same way. I'm always talking about how if I see that you're inconsistent in your marketing, I believe that you'll probably be inconsistent in how you work with me. It makes me trust you less.
Totally. Yeah, I think people get so confused with, there's always like that, no like trust. I'm like, there are certain behaviors that people look for. They're way more important than like no like trust in the content. And the consistency is by far the biggest one.
Yeah, I think that the trust is part of the consistency. Like it's lost if you say you're going to show up weekly on a YouTube show, for example, and you just drop off the face of the earth. My trust is gone.
Yeah. Or even, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, especially if you're doing any kind of like a program based with a cohort, that's a really bad red flag to kind of show off. If you go through these like high launch periods, or I'll see even sometimes with like clients who run ads, they're like, oh, it's cool, I don't need to email my list anymore. Like we burned the leads that we had, so we'll just go generate a bunch of them from ads. And I'm like, you have so many like potential leads just sitting there waiting. They was the right time for them then. Like this
nurture those bad boys.
Yeah. It's getting easier. Get a 6-month content library. You will thank me later. You will thank me later. Like it's just, it's funny that things that I think people think business, how it should be, it should feel so much sexier. And then it's like the boring is the thing that creates the really bolts.
There's nothing sexy about it. It's routine. I call it my everyday profit habits. And it's just like simple things I do every day that bring in leads.
Yep.
It's boring, but it works.
Get a fancy drink and one of your 5 cups on the table. Get you some good music going. Drink a cup of coffee. Call it a day. Like it's just, well, your nervous system also will thank you for how grounded you feel in doing it versus the like, oh shit, I need a client now. Like freak out, do all the things. Like that doesn't. Yeah. So it's not sexy, and no one's talking about this on the internet because we're all making $1 million in a weekend or whatever. It's not happening.
Yes, whenever I tell stories about like big sales days, I always give them the asterisks. Like I was nurturing those relationships for months before. Yeah, just happened to all sign on the same day.
No, literally. You're like, oh, this big month. Let me tell you about my 35K and the 4K the next month. It's because they all closed on the same day.
Yeah, like, it worked out that way. So don't think you're special.
Spread it out. Yeah, exactly. But people don't. I think part of it is people make it seem a certain way, and then it's like, well, if they did it, then I'm going to do it, and so that's toxic. But then there's not a real like truth saying of like, no, this is like what they're doing. One, you don't have to do it too, and it also doesn't mean anything about you if you had a slower sales month for whatever reason. Like,
they happen all the time.
Yeah, and no one's talking about those.
No, it's not sexy.
Yeah, it's not sexy, but it's real life. And that is, I don't know. I think I wish things could be a little bit different. And I try my best to be, especially with sharing the nuance of like, this is how this happened. But it's interesting what people will pay to believe. I'll say that.
Yeah. I have started talking about my slow sales months like 3 months later, so I can show them what habits I added to fix that.
Yeah,
but that's the most comfortable I can get. I can't talk about it while I'm in it because I'm too deep in it.
No, it's terrible. Well, no one wants to get kicked when you're down, which this is actually a really great segue into Uh,
Into
the
4?
are we in the third one or the fourth one?
Let's see. 2 and 3 you combined into.
Yes. So one of them is lessons learned
There you
is
go.
one of the big ones. So thank you for the cue up. But yeah, I think and it's this weird thing on the internet. There's kind of two trades. There's the like, okay, well, if I'm honest about like this was a hard sales month, then no one's gonna trust me. I personally, the reason I really like sharing lessons learned, give it some time. Don't talk about it when you're in it. Like something my coach and I talk about is like, I never push publish on an unprocessed thought.
Mhm.
So like make sure you've like wrapped it up, you've done the postmortem, talk about it, but you can usually trace back like, okay, what caused this to happen? But lessons learned, I know for me, especially someone that, provides high ticket, but also I write high ticket and also I invest high ticket. I want to know that someone has the business acumen to get themselves out of a hole.
Yes.
So, right, high ticket sales is super interesting because, and like premium sales messaging, it no longer is about just getting the like, the economical solution. These people care about that you have nuance, that you have range, that you've not only, made it X amount of thousands of dollars or whatever else, they also want to know that you know how to navigate out of really tough spots. That is where the actual like gold comes from,
Yeah.
with some boundaries, I will say, with some boundaries. So a lot of people will be like, they'll ask me like, well, I'm supposed to be like hashtag vulnerable, right? Like I'm supposed to talk about this like big mental breakdown I had. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your,
Cringy.
yeah, it has nothing to do with your business. That's my first thing. Like I'll say like for this podcast, like I just went through a very profound, like biggest grief cycle of my entire life. Did I write about it anywhere? Hell no. Like I maybe alluded to it. I will probably not talk about what happened in any like form of content because I have a boundary of like, these are the topics that are off limits that also have nothing to do with business anyway.
Yeah.
So those are just like things like family, kids, revenue to a certain extent. Like there are certain things you don't have to talk about in the name of being hashtag vulnerable. Like, and again, I just think about the freaking Cheerios in the back of the car. Like,
And you're cringing all over
like,
again.
what are we doing? Or even just like, sharing selfies and, a selfie of you crying. And I'm like,
Oh, yuck. Don't like that
I
at
hate
all.
that. I'm like, please stop performing for this. Like,
Yes.
this is really weird. And it also shows you that you don't actually know anything about business. Like it just does so many things.
Or vulnerability, because nobody, when they're actually feeling that way, is going to think to take a picture of themselves. It doesn't come off
No,
as authentic at all.
you don't want to see me when I've been crying. Okay. It's not
No.
cute. It's not cute. It's not cute for an algorithm. It's not good. But it's this thing where I think people just like, it's you want to be vulnerable, and there is I think people mistake authenticity and vulnerability so much. Like
Yeah.
if I'm not vulnerable, if I don't tell you all my scars or whatever, and I'm like, I don't really want to monetize from my scars because then that means I'm gonna call in more scars. Like I don't really
Yeah.
want. It's kind of bad juju, I don't really.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't do no
either.
hurt. So I don't want my marketing strategy to be let's talk about like the shit I should be talking to a therapist about. That's
Yeah.
just,
I've got her for that.
I've got her for that. I have a coach for that. Like I have all the people resourced, not for this purpose. But again, it's this thing of, I think with the vulnerability piece and everything else, it's like I want to share, what I learned or whatever else, but you have to remember from a business perspective, I think it is smart to talk about harder seasons just because again, that shows business acumen, which is, I know for me, if I'm going to hire a coach or I'm going to hire a marketing person, I'm like, you better know what to do if the plane starts falling.
Yeah.
And I want to know that you know how to fix it. And I want to know that you know how to fix it in your own business. Like, because otherwise anyone can say that they know what they're doing. That's half of LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
But, like, no, show me that you know how to get yourself out of it, or like how to generate revenue when you need it, or prove to me that this works, even if there's a slow cycle or whatever else.
The last 2 coaches I've had, I went with them because they went through periods that I went through periods. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, they got themselves out. I want them.
Totally. Yeah, I've been working with my coach for almost 4 years in May, 3.5 years, I guess, at this point. And it's for her, like a lot of our journeys like mirror a lot, where she's kind of, usually a step ahead of me, but because I do the inner work, she does the inner work. But a lot of the like strength and the mental performance for sure has come from her teaching me, about, it doesn't mean anything about you if your revenue is slow, and all of these lessons that I think people kind of discount that is an important part of business, like the mental performance, the ability to stay on track. Like,
Mhm.
good God, everyone getting distracted by all of this stuff that is not generating revenue, but it's like the illusion that it could, versus
Yeah.
just like do the simple thing. Do the tiny things that your what did you say? The tiny
Oh, everyday habits, everyday
everyday
profit.
habits. Yeah, everyday prop habit. Like that was the hardest thing for me because I used to be a high-low girl. I used to be like, let's ride the roller coaster. This is so fun, high octane risk and stress. And now I'm like, that actually was the worst, like the worst period of my life. But I think working with like coaches or service providers that also like their business model and like how they're making money, like what are the values behind how they're doing this? That's like a sub story type, but like definitely having an understanding of like, well, how are they making money? Like, how does this actually work? I think really is helpful because you can definitely work with people who are like pro launch, pro ads, pro all these things, or you can kind of connect yourself with people that sell in a way that feels better for you and for your nervous system. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of us around that have the same values, but we're maybe not the loudest people on the internet because we're doing our little things.
Yeah. Finding a coach that like you guys click on that sales level,
Yeah.
I think that matters so much
Yeah.
because then you can figure out where it's going wrong for you. Like, I've tried
I
this. I know it's going to work, but something
yeah.
needs to be tweaked.
Yeah. My coaches specifically, so I know it may not seem like it. I'm very introverted writer, but I'm very introverted, and her whole approach was like she's for introverts, empaths, and highly sensitive people.
Hmm.
And so after working with her, I was like, oh my God, this is why I hate going to the grocery store. Oh my God. Like I didn't
It's
know I
like
was
it
a
all makes
highly
sense now.
sensitive person. Yeah, but it was like all of the energy management stuff that she was kind of teaching me that like I think some people in my family still think I'm an extrovert, which is not true. So it's very interesting like working with someone that the values and how they sell, like a lot of the like think about it. Okay, if I'm an introvert and an empath and a highly sensitive person, sales calls are like not a great energy
Yeah.
giving thing for me. So that's kind of how we built my sales ecosystem to make more sense for me, my personality style, but also like the function of my business. I'm a writer, so it's hard for me to you know, do a couple hours of work and then do a sales call or, do a podcast interview and then jump right back in like that. It doesn't make sense for what I'm doing. So finding a coach that can really honor who you are and what you are and how you prefer to work, I think is really important.
Yeah. I really want to highlight that too. And so many entrepreneurs or people who want to be an entrepreneur feel like they have to fit into somebody else's box. But
Mm,
really, it's about finding the systems that work for you and your
hmm
energy levels and how you think. And once you find that, everything will feel natural and it will flow.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
there's a lot of coaching that I think with and it's definitely still happening. It was giving like 2020, 2021 coaching industry MLM vibes
Yeah.
where it was like, "Oh, I made all this money doing this thing. So now I'm going to teach you how I did it." And you're like, "Well, first off, I'm not extrovert extreme. So that's like 90% of what you're about to teach me is actually terrible." And I've invested in coaches like that where it's like, "Cool, I learned one way and one marketing strategy and ecosystem that does work." But for someone like me, like I don't want to send 20 DMs and I don't want to have a spreadsheet of like every lead ever that I'm connected with. Like that, the minutia of that is just totally draining. So it's understanding, and I think there's definitely something about individual coaching, bespoke styles where it really incorporates who you are, even just the nature of your business, what you're trying to do. Like,
Mm.
I'm not trying to be the next version of your business. I'm kind of just trying to build my own thing. And I need support with the mental stuff, the spiritual stuff, the emotional, all of the like interpersonal client sending boundaries, like all of this stuff, the other things that, the day to day, like I'll say like personal operations to
Yeah.
get it moving at, I have good business sense, but I need someone to hold me accountable to like, no, this is what we're building. Like, we don't need to go build, an email newsletter with 50,000 subscribers and like a shitty digital product at the back end. Like, that's not my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see somebody else who's doing it super successfully and you're like, maybe me too.
Maybe me too in our own way.
And then you
Yes.
get distracted.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the lack of focus and distraction is another thing too, because it's so challenging because you want to be and have the same results as other people, but again, the nuance, they may not be telling you the whole story. They may not, have had the same starting place that you did. Like,
Yeah, that's
there's just too much that's not confirmed, truly confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah. I constantly talk about how much I hate when someone has a very specific framework and you have to go through each one of their steps and they're like, well, if it's not working for you, then you try harder. Where it's like, oh, no, this isn't for me. It's not going to work for my personality. I need something that fits me and the way I work.
Yeah.
I just think
Totally.
hard, concrete ways, processes of moving people through, like to get the same accomplishment as you got, it doesn't work. It needs to be custom for the person.
Totally agree. Retweet that one for sure. Yeah.
Boop. That was my retweet button.
Yeah. Love.
Let's get to 5. What is the fifth? Yeah. Storytelling.
The fifth one, other than the money-making testimonials and like the client case studies, arguably the most important, the one that people never talk about, is your origin story. So everyone, I think, especially in your business evolution, I know this was true for me. We tend to discount the things that we've learned over the years. So for a really long time, I didn't talk about how, yes, I have a ghostwriting business. I also, flash forward to me, like my first job out of college, I had a very like fluke of a first job. I was in the C-suite of a Fortune 100 company, ghostwriting for a senior executive. I was 21, like couldn't make it up. I got all the experience in the world at like the highest place you could possibly be ghostwriting at from a corporate perspective.
Yeah, you lucked out.
I like really truly fluke of a first job. They should never have given me that. I was like early drinking age, but there, that was a huge part of my story and kind of how, looking back, I'm like, oh, well, I was already kind of doing this, and I was doing this at a different level where, I did have the kind of corporate cushion where I could experiment more, and I got to see a whole lot, especially because we were doing a lot of internal communication. So I kind of got to see like crash course, how does this work at a really young age? The other thing most people don't know that I talk about sometimes, but definitely not as much, is while working full time, I had a corporate job. I got a master's in PR, specifically in internal and executive communications, which is, spoiler alert, ghostwriting.
Yeah, exactly what you're doing.
That's what that is. Yeah, PR for an executive. That's what that is. But I didn't think, because I just thought like, okay, well, once you're an entrepreneur, you only earn your stripes from what you do in this one business concept, and that's it. Not realizing like my origin story, that's so important. Like when I started talking about that, people were like, man, that makes me feel like 20 times better hiring you because you've at least seen more stuff, or like you've studied this, you've taken the reps in and you've done all of this. My coach, she has a really great juicy origin story because it's the thing you can't replicate. No one else is going to have the story that you have. And that's the magic. That's one of the best ways to key into why you do the things that you do. But like my coach, ambitious, introvert, empath, highly sensitive person, she'll say like the reason she's so good at her job is she was an air traffic controller for like 10 years. And she actually tells this story. She'll say that she had this client that wanted to work with her after finding out that she was an air traffic controller. And the reason this client signed on to work with her was because they said, that's someone's brain that I want on my business. Like your brain, the things that you're good at and the past experience you have, like, yes, you might be a coach or a consultant, but like that thing, whatever that special experience, they're either super connected to it from a values perspective, or they're like, I don't know a lot about air traffic control, but you definitely know about complexity. Like that,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I think a lot of people, I think people think, oh, I'm supposed to talk about, this is why I started my business. It's usually because you left a corporate job or you got laid off during the pandemic. Like,
We know your story
sorry.
because it's all of our story.
Yeah, I know. And for a while, like when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I like got tired of my corporate job. That was my origin story that I used a lot. And then I would just kept scrolling and I was like, shit, they have the same one. They have the same. I was like, okay, this is not going to work. Like we're going to have to find something else. But that's the thing is like, no one could possibly have my origin story and the combination. There's so many different backstories to things as well in different ways, not just from the business owner's perspective either, or why the business got started. It's also a really great way to talk about your offers and the origin story of your offer. Like, why did you create this? Well, you probably saw a gap in the market. Why was this so important? What were you noticing in your clients that, they were struggling with that no one else seemed to, get solved? Why did you do it in this way? Tell me why you created it in this way, certain benefits, certain specs. That origin story is, again, besides kind of client testimonials, that is kind of the magic, I think, that kind of weaves into every business and every story that you could be telling, because it's something that no one else is going to have.
Yeah.
It's impossible for anyone to have the same combination as you. And if they do, you're not looking hard enough. You got to do a little more soul searching, because I sit all day, every day writing origin stories for people. And I'm just like, dude, this is juicy. Like there's just a million and one ways to spin it and talk about it.
Yeah, there are. I write a lot of LinkedIn profiles for my clients,
Mhm.
and that's one of the things that I have. And usually their experience section is the origin story of what
Right.
made them the person that they are today that launched the thing that they're doing. And they're
Yeah.
so fun and interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, origin stories are great too, because what's actually underneath them, again, those like universal themes, the more specific we are, they resonate on a universal level. Origin stories are so fun because you can tell it 20 different ways,
Yeah.
just with different stories or different values. And so, like, I could tell you my origin story, but I'm using it through the lens of authenticity. Maybe I'm using it through a lens of rebellion. Maybe I'm using it through a lens of abundance. Like there's a million different ways to tell, why you started something, why you created an offer, and those values and the lens that you choose to tell that story through are the things that are going to resonate with someone. And again, it's that specificity of someone being like, man, like that was really interesting to me, or that really, I think we all kind of have seasonal themes or things that we're kind of into. And I think that is what really attracts people into our ether, whether they're ready to invest, today, right this second, or, they need 9 years, you know, to finally convert. We don't really ever know, but that's, I think, something. And it's also, it's a practice in honoring your own story and honoring where you came from. And that can be a like kind of an uncomfortable thing, owning not just your wins like you would share in a client case study, but owning like, I may not have enjoyed my time in corporate, and, maybe I had some rebellion and, angst as to why I left, but also like that shaped a lot of what I learned and a lot of what I didn't want to bring with me into building a business. So there's almost like this healing process that can happen, again, a little bit more internally. It doesn't mean you have to go, blast your vulnerabilities and your past traumas
Yeah.
or well, but there's a lot of healing then. And when you own all the parts of you, that's the thing that allows you to become whole and kind of propel yourself forward.
Can also help you reframe your past. If it was something that was uncomfortable or bad at the moment, it
Yeah,
helps you see it through a new lens because that experience led you to the business that you have today. Like my
totally.
origin story is I was a one-person marketing department for a 7-company group, and
Totally.
I was overwhelmed. I had 7 presidents.
Terrible.
It was very hard, but it also allowed me the space to build a framework that worked really well for them. And then I was able to replicate it for other clients.
Mhm.
So, well, at the time, I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Now I'm like,
Yeah.
thank God I did because I had to be scrappy and figure out how to make it all work.
Yeah. But lessons learned story. That's what people want to hear. They want
Yes.
to hear the origin story. They want to hear like what you learned about that. And I think, yeah, the more we can own, I really believe in like neuroplasticity. We have a lot of trauma we store in our bodies. We can re-heal it. We can rewire our brains. And that is part of the process too. Like I think doing a kind of retroactive look at where you came from. Also, if you're like going through a tough season, it's also the thing that's gonna, hopefully create a little bit of a spark and be like, okay, I survived what I thought was going to be the worst day of my life or the worst season of my life. And, I can see it may still have some darkness, but there is some light there as well. And I think I think that's what hope feels like, in a business season or, you know, after closing something down or stopping an offer or a launch flop or whatever else, it always leads to something better. It may not feel like it at the time, but I think I think that's what hope and, maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I think that's that kind of like inner work of being an entrepreneur that really needs to be taking place to get the kind of results and more alignment, going into whatever the next era is.
Yeah. It took me a long time to realize that too. When something didn't work out, now I'm looking at it with curiosity instead of disappointment. Like,
Yeah.
what is the lesson there? What
I
is
mean,
that
you didn't just accept it right off and move on. I feel like I have to really just sit in it. And this is something else that I write a lot subconsciously under the radar if you didn't know what to look for. I write a lot about grief is what I actually, if you were to pull back and I were to really reveal, spoiler, that's what's actually happening here. I write a lot about grief and I write a lot about joy and abundance. And I think like most entrepreneurs, who wants to feel grief? Who wants to feel depressed? Who wants to feel sad? Like it's a really crappy feeling. And it can feel like you can't get yourself out of it. But grief is also, this is like my storyteller, memoirist side coming out, but grief is also a death and a rebirth cycle. So when you can grieve, the past, that is also the thing. Take with it what you would like into the next birth or rebirth. That is the case for anything. It could be an
Mhm.
offer, a business concept, it could be a career change, it could be a relationship. Like that is grief, is like death and rebirth. And so I think that work, it's not fun to sit with, and you can't AI prompt your way out of it. Like you have to actually
Yeah.
sit with feelings. But uh, I think that's an important part of the storytelling process as well, and kind of what adds richness to what you're sharing.
Makes me think of tarot when you pull the death
Oh my God.
card.
Oh my God. No, for me, it's anytime I pull the tower, I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want it.
So many people think that the death card is bad, but really it's like the beginning of a new chapter. It's a rebirth.
Truly, truly. Yeah. And it's tough to hold though. I mean, who wants to feel like, something failed or like something, can't continue? It's hard to sit with, but it's, death and rebirth. It's no different than, okay, it's, time to clear out some spring cleaning. You're going to go through, get rid of the clutter in your house that you don't want anymore, and you're going to donate some of it. Well, that creates space for something new.
And it feels
So
good once it's over.
it feels good once it's over.
Yeah, once it's over, you have to move through it
Yeah, you could
first.
be, I will say, one of my quirks is I'm not the best at actually dropping this stuff off at Goodwill. So I'll
Sitting in your trunk.
sit in my trunk for a little bit. It's fine, but it's at least out of the apartment. So you can't really feel it. But yeah, I think it's allowing yourself to kind of grow and evolve, and like we can't, I hope, stay the same level all the time. We have to allow ourselves to kind of clear out what isn't serving us and create space for whatever is new. That could be clients, that could be certain offers, that could be pricing, that could be and anything. Like nothing is off the
Mhm.
table. If there's one thing I've learned, it's like expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Like
Evolution is inevitable.
Yeah.
So if you don't get used to it,
Grow or die, and dying's
yes.
not an option. So buckle up, baby. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, get real comfortable with change if you're
Yeah.
in
If
business.
you're an entrepreneur, yeah, seriously. Every week, something different. But that is part of, I think there's a certain type of person that is resilient enough to do this for a living. And it doesn't mean it's not tough, but it's you being resilient and strong and able to navigate the highs and the lows. And that's what people, whether it's clients, whether it's customers, whether it's you looking for someone to work with, like that, those are kind of, for me, the big indicators that come with the job description.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I have definitely become a stronger person because of it. Because when I started, it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough job for sure. Like it's still one of the harder things I've ever had to do in my life, but wouldn't change it for a day. Wouldn't change it. There's some seasons where I'm like, that was scrappy, but
I did not enjoy that.
yeah, that was not my funnest time, but we're still living to tell the tale and there's value in that. So, live to die another day. That's what I tell myself all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably like the innate optimism that lives in all of us that keeps us going. Like, it's bad right now, but tomorrow will be better.
It's that visionary entrepreneur. It's really helpful sometimes.
Yeah.
Funny.
So, can you tell the audience how they can work with you and find you online?
Yeah. So as far as working with me, I ghostwrite mostly content in the storytelling format. So most clients work with me either on a LinkedIn content retainer or email newsletters or both. So I definitely have a certain kind of style. I'm definitely a more kind of direct, quippy. I kind of write like I talk. And so most of my clients tend to be like very, a certain type of humor style, but it's really fun. But so LinkedIn or email newsletters, or if you ever have like a one-off project in the sales department, I tend to write a lot of email welcome series for email newsletters, especially if you're trying to figure out how to tell it in a way that's storytelling and selling. That is another big thing that I write for clients, or some sales pages or service pages for websites a lot of times as well. But definitely more in the content, name of the game and working with my clients to build a content library. So filling in the gaps, especially like what is the content that's out here that we still need to have in your 6-month library is really what I try to get my clients to. And then as far as where to see me online, I'm on LinkedIn, pretty active over there. And then I write a newsletter called Wallflower Fridays. Similar vibe to kind of, just how I speak basically, but I always try to tell some story from my life, or I pull inspiration from like books that I'm reading, movies that I'm watching. Last week, this is like so embarrassing, but last week I sent one about Disney Descendants, which has been my like hyperfixation, which is actually a banger of a storytelling. And so I kind of went into like why it works. But if you want to read Wallflower Fridays, you can sign up for that at wallflowerfridays.com.
Very nice. And now I have to go check that out. I have 2 kids. How have I not heard of it? Yeah.
Oh my God, it is. I will really and truly go off. It was supposed to be a joke. Like my YouTube algorithm was really showing me this stuff. And then I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, they're like talking about I'm healing from like narcissistic abuse right now. And so like, oh my God, the first movie is like all about healing from narcissists. What the fuck? And then the second one, it was like it knew. And then I'm like looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, this is like very woke art. What is happening? And now I'm like, it's so embarrassing. This is like, I would normally tell my email list not people on a podcast, but like I'm reading, there's like prequel books. I'm reading the children's prequel books for these Disney movies, but the music is great. It's directed by Kenny Ortega, who did High School Musical. I don't know. It's really fun, and it's been like a really joyful experience. And it's the backstory of the villains and Disney's villains. So it's the kids of the villains, the descendants. But it's
fun.
I'm super fun.
That.
It's super fun. It's super nostalgic. Like the values and the themes. Like if you want to talk about universal themes, like I'm literally sitting here watching this and I'm crying and I'm like, oh my God, they're healing from narcissistic parents. Like holy shit. Like it's just, I think, really well written. It's campy, it's hokey, like it's fine. The music in the second one is like, we're playing it a lot right now. I'm just listening to it a lot, but it's a fun, like, kind of, I don't know, just it's a little bit different. It's kind of playful or whatever, but yeah, you can watch it on Disney Plus, Descendants.
Well, we have it, so I'm going to try it out.
Yeah, well, tell me how it goes, because I'm, like I said, I'm reading the books. We're deep in it, so we're there.
I will let you know. Thank you so much for joining me today. This talk was way longer than my normal ones. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Thank you.
All right. That was a long one, but it was a good one. So now that this episode is over, this is what I want you to do. Audit your content. Does every post that you've created in the last 7 days, let's say, subtly sell? Are you hinting or nodding or threading your offer into the content and the stories that you're telling? Incorporate storytelling in your marketing, particularly around client case studies, so people can visualize themselves in the place of your current clients. Clarify your messaging to both attract and repel potential clients. It will save you so much time on unnecessary sales calls. Build a streamlined sales process that works for you. So everybody's sales process is a little different. You need it to work for the life that you have and your business and your offers. So build one that you actually love. And last, embrace the long game. Nurture leads so they become ready to work with you. So one way you can do that is through DMs, which you learned in episode 122. If you haven't listened to that, go back in time 1 week to that one. And another way is in the inbox. So I recently released an email marketing kit that I think you'll love, and it shows 5 different email sequences, templates, and they're plug and play. They show you examples on how you can sell after a freebie or after a client has ghosted you or how to get more butts in seats when you're hosting a free event. So there's 5 email sequences, all designed to nurture your leads and pull them through and help them become clients. So you love all things tiny marketing, head down to the show notes page and sign up for the wait list to join the Tiny Marketing Club, where you get to work one-on-one with me with trainings, feedback, and pop-up coaching that will help you scale your marketing as a B2B service business. So I'll see you over in the club.